I'm Gaby Wilson for MTV News, and I'm here with Miguel to talk about his new album, War and Leisure. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So let's get into the title first. Why War and Leisure, not like War and Peace or War and Love?
Man, I feel like War and Leisure is the best way to describe, I guess the energy that I'm feeling right now, and being pulled in two completely different directions, So every album I try and make a Polaroid of my life, essentially, and this was the best caption for the Polaroid, War and Leisure.
Well, yeah, this album, I mean, it's a Miguel album, so there's a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but you're leaning into politics in a way that you haven't really before, and I think Banana Clip is a good example of that. You're kind of like making love as the world ends, and there's lines like, I put the D in defense, or trigger
Defender.
happy and stuff. Yeah. Did you find it difficult to balance these two ideas, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and politics?
Man, I think overall, it's crazy how, the subconscious really does inform the music, and this album kind of revealed itself to me in that way. It was kind of, I guess, things that were in the back of my mind about what's happening and what I'm seeing that kind of made its way into the lyrics. So that's why Banana Clip, I would say, is a great example too, because it does incorporate a lot of Korean missiles in the sky, you know what I mean? And just these things that we kind of feel we're hearing, that are in the ethos. So it wasn't hard, and it wasn't really even conscious. I think it was just what's kind of sitting on the top of my brain, and kind of on the fibers of what I'm feeling. So it just kind of comes out through the music and identifies kind of the direction.
Playing songs that have that kind of juxtaposition back to people, were other people jarred by that, by putting those two things next to each other?
I think people who are paying attention for it, if you're looking for it, it's there. You know what I mean? But it's also sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's business as usual, but it's just with a little more mindfulness. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like a mindful celebration.
Yeah. Another song that does a good job of balancing the sexy and the serious is Come Through and Chill, thanks to the new verse from J. Cole.
Right.
So the song was originally released as a Salam Remy track in 2016 with you as a feature. Why bring it back for this year?
Really just because it's that's what the fans want, And just, this is actually a real conversation Colin and I have had, and he's just like, man, we just gotta identify who our audience is and just keep giving them what they want. So it just felt right, and it's been a good amount of time, from All I Want Is You, and then Power Trip, and now Come Through and Chill. So it really was the fans, man. So I hope they love it, man. It's for them.
The Cole feature is new for this version. Why add Cole to this song?
I think just the opportunity, one, for us to all kind of do something together again it was a no-brainer. And the crazy thing is that I didn't even have to talk to him about it. He just did it on his own.
Really?
Yeah, just
Yeah. How did he get on the track?
We obviously spoke,
Right.
But I think what he says in his verses, in both verses, I think there was no conversation about what I was hoping for or anything. He just, I think, has a real keen sense of how to compliment a song, and I mean, again, this is a prime example. Cole's
feature is one of two Kaepernick references on War and Leisure, the other one being Rick Ross on Criminal.
Yeah.
Why was that something that is so important to reference multiple times on this project?
It's not an intention, it wasn't that we had a moment and I was like, man, let's make sure let's bring in these current events or anything like that. Ross hadn't heard any of the other music on the album. He just heard Criminal for what it was. I think this is just what's on our minds, man. It's hard not to address the things that we're seeing at this point. We're just at a place where we just can't ignore it anymore. And, I look at Ross and Cole and everyone who, anyone who's got any bit of attention, especially when they take these moments and use them as an opportunity to bring light to things that they feel are important. I look at them as leaders. I feel like I'm a leader, and in this way I'm guilty by association. So Ross's own subconscious, how he's feeling, informed him on what to say on that verse, and that's why I think it's a special verse, because we rarely hear Ross on that page,
but conscious.
Exactly. But at the same time, painting a picture that was true to him. Kaepernick is a hero. He's a hero. You know what I mean? and still hasn't got his just due. We all feel that, and we know that. So I think as leaders, we celebrate other leaders, and this was an opportunity to do it, and they both did it incredibly.
So I found myself this year going back to Candles in the Sun with new significance. And this album ends in kind of a similarly politically poignant way with the track Now.
Righteous.
What inspired you to write that song?
I mean, the song pretty much is self-explanatory. You know, sitting through the 2016 election was really confusing. You know, I think for me, it's the first time that I really took a personal interest beyond my beliefs, you know? So watching this whole election, really taking a personal interest for the first time, really moved me, man, because I was like a lot of people, just confused as to how, you know, the divisiveness could really elevate, you know, someone to success, you know? I guess that personal interest in the whole process this time around for the first time, and seeing it in the confusion really just inspired the song. And really just wanting to have a conversation, you know, just putting yourself in that place where, like, what would I say if I was ever in the room with a Donald Trump? You know what I'm saying? I'm not the right person to do that, you know? But as a human being, the questions I would ask are all included in Now.
The title of the song, Now, there's an asterisk. What is the symbolism of that? Why add that?
I often asterisk things that I want to revisit, you know? And I think more than anything, we need reminders. And so it really was for me, you know, again, like if every album of mine is like a Polaroid picture, you know? That was a moment in this Polaroid picture I detailed that I wanted to make sure I revisited, and hopefully my fans catch it and want to keep coming back to it, just like Candles in the Sun.
So you debuted Now at a Schools Not Prisons concert after a protest of LA's Adelanto Detention Center. Why was that protest important to you?
Well, it was more important to learn about what was happening. I was simultaneously really kind of getting the whole download of, you know, the lives that are being affected, the conditions of these so-called detention centers. But I was moved, you know, after sitting with people who had been detained or been incarcerated, really, you know, people who had been ripped from their way of life, who were contributing members of society, minus the fact that they were undocumented, and just kind of hearing the human side of it and trying to understand where the injustice was. And once you kind of really peel back all the layers, seeing how the 13th Amendment is still being used, but how they kind of shift the conversation to justify it, when at the end of the day it's to fill, you know, the pockets of corporations. So they could care less who or why. Their objective is just to fill the cells, just to have bodies there. So there's just so many people who have a lot to offer that, you know, are not being able to reach their potential. And not only that, they're being robbed of their life. So I was moved to do Now because I felt like it was the proper message for the occasion. And after learning all about it, just, you know, it just felt right.
So the album is very politically charged. Was there any thought to putting How Many on it? That was the song that you dropped in 2016 around Black Lives Matter.
Man, it was absolutely on the possible, you know, body of work. But once Now kind of came to fruition, I felt like it was the strongest message and the right balance for this project. Also, How Many is one of those songs that I have yet to really finish. Eventually it will be, and when it does, I think, you know, I think my fans will love it when it's ready.
For sure. So the Told You So video dropped pretty recently. Talk to me about what the song is about and how the visual relates to it.
You know, it's really kind of finding a balance. I never want to be like preachy. You know, I hate to be preached to. You know what I mean? Like for me, I was like, how dope would it be to create, you know, an up-tempo feel, you know, in music, but really be talking about something that matters now. Also telling the story of and having some purpose in the visual was important to me.
Yeah,
So,
you're splicing in like protests and riots and rallies. What specific footage are you putting in there? There's like a Martin Luther King.
Yeah, there's some civil rights footage in there. There's some women's rights footage in there. There's obviously election footage. There's footage from various armies from various countries. Just things that are just, almost kind of like reaching out and grabbing snippets of dreams that I've had, and wanting to tell the story of what's happening right now in my brain, and kind of all of the static that I feel is just like I can't wash off of me, That was kind of where Kareem and I really, really wanted to hone in, and Kareem Hudu is like the director for this video is incredible. He's amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely like a dreamlike quality to it, and bouncing around different narratives and stuff. The other thing I noticed, your hair is short in it. How long have you been sitting on that footage?
Yeah, we shot that video like a year and 8 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was already growing I was trying to get to, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Interesting facts. Yeah.
Yeah, just fun fact. Fun Easter egg for the fans.
Yeah.
Well, your performance on the Victoria's Secret fashion show just aired. You do a stripped down version of Pineapple Skies, which I really liked. Talk to me about that reimagining of that song.
It is kind of like an awesome opportunity, to have like a platform like that, man, and to kind of be in a different arena, It's just grown in reputation to be an amazing like marriage of music and, these amazing pieces that they've made, that celebrate the female form, which obviously I'm a fan of. For those of you who have tuned into my little book of butts stories, but it was an amazing opportunity. So just wanting to do something that really took a step back because it's their moment, it's really a beautiful moment for them, And every time each one of them hits that camera, that main camera in the front, you can feel all of the, their just courage, all of just the power, and wanting to take a backseat to that and allow them to shine. So it was important to do that with the music, and that was like the objective for me.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed listening to it a bit more stripped down is sort of how it feels like sexual healing, like
right,
Marvin Gaye sexual healing. And then I went and looked up, and Marvin Gaye is credited in the writing credits. How did that come together?
I mean, it's to be influenced, is an amazing part of music, and to have it in your DNA. It only felt right to obviously reach out and say, hey, this is like completely inspired. It's inspired. It's something that we pull from, and out of respect, it's just a respect thing.
Another song on the album, Caramelo, Duro, is like mostly Spanish. Why did you want to explore writing in Spanish and singing in Spanish?
This trip I took to where my family is from in Mexico. So my father is from Zamora, Michoacan, and a lot of my family is still in Zamora. So I got to meet them and also get a sense of how, our footprint is really affecting the ecosystem in Mexico, the human footprint there. So Caramelo Duro is kind of is a song I felt that was necessary, one, because it's kind of like the quintessential Miguel song, but in Spanish,
Right,
it's
hard
such
candy.
a
As a euphemism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got that. But it's fun. It's like playful, witty, but it is still a pickup,
Yeah.
But I wanted a reason to go back, man. I want to create more music to take me back, and so that my family can see how far we've come, And Nick, you can do it online, but I really feel like we flourish on stage. Like, live is where it's at for us, My band and I love to really play.
Yeah.
So I just want to have a reason to go back. So there'll be more music in Spanish and Spanglish and all of that for me, just because it's in my DNA, one, and I really want to go back.
So before I let you go, you're about to tour this album.
Yeah.
What, on a visual tip, can people expect from this tour?
I think everything we've been doing, man, is a reflection of, how I feel, and that's why War and Leisure is the fitting title. So expect it to feel wildly beautiful, but also in your face, You know what I mean? And almost scary, at times. I really want to play with this emotion because it's a weird, we're in a weird place, and I really want to capture that. And I think we'll make it fun, but also purposeful. That's what I would say. So our shows are always very dynamic, but visually I want it to feel like a beautiful, like we're dancing through destruction.
Maybe you'll ride on a giant missile.
Yeah,
Through the stadium.
Travis can bring his hawk, and I'll come in on like some kind of crazy missile.
Cool. Yeah, sounds great.
Salud.